How are the systems integrators competing with the big boys in the market? And what are the demands? They're becoming very complex, aren't they?
Well, I think it's like I think a lot of the guys have said, right? This is converging, and I think we've talked about it in previous meetings before. We know these things are converging, right? AV and IT. The question for me, I guess from a long-term point of view, if I step there first, is everything in technology and everything in life has this kind of cycle effect, right? So we're on this swing, everything's coming together. And yes, I've watched the typical AV integrators, so like Pro AV and AV iSpell and AV IMI, they have grown up sort of looking at what else can they do? How can they expand their capability to take on what is becoming an IT world? Some of the conversations I've had with James and Clive as well from Pinnaker and things like that, they're trying to work out how they grow that space. And it's an interesting challenge for them because I think typically also what we talked about in the room today, the roles and people that you employ to do AV integration are going to be quite different, although similar, we're all technology people, but there's always going to be a difference in the level of people you're going to get maybe for an AV integration job or role through someone that's come from an IT background role, right? There's different, as you come out of university, I'm sure, and obviously I'm a long way off that time, but I think if you come out through university, you're possibly thinking, what are the key things in IT that I could do? Coding, right, is a massive thing. Development is a massive thing in the industry today. When I was going to university, it was about technology, it was about hardware. And so things are changing, and costs of people, so again we were talking about the costs of people, so how does an AV integrator invest the level of money, Paul was talking about it, how do they invest that level of money to take on those new skill sets? I think one of the opportunities I know they've all kind of picked up on talking about today was the Surface Hub, right? So they've gone, I've got all these people, project managers, AV installers and things like that. How do I now pick up someone who knows about Microsoft and Surface Hub? Because to know just about Surface Hub, well, that's one thing. You could possibly get someone who knows screen technology, etc., to do something there. But how do you understand all of the infrastructure that is Microsoft in behind that? I mean, that's a huge sort of thing. That's sort of thing that some people take 3 or 4 years to sort of develop and learn. And even after that time, they might be a specialist in Exchange and the desktop and Office. They don't know everything, the SQLs and the BI and everything else and the SharePoint that comes along with it. It's a lot of knowledge to have in one person.
They're spending a fortune on accreditation as well.
Absolutely.
But they're taking the option to try and train their own staff up, which is a good move in my view. But training industry, as you know, we're trying to recruit from outside. Do you bring in established professionals? I mean, where do they come from? The best, in a way, is a big chunk of money. But it's always better to train if you can. There's always a risk of them being poached. Yep. But it's usually a good route. It's good to see that appearing, I think.
No, absolutely. And I think across the industry, it's always been an issue. Yes, you want to train your people because training your people makes them want to stay, hopefully. And I think as Richard Branson had that statement, if you invest more money in your people, they'll actually stay rather than, if you don't invest, well, they'll probably go. That's not exactly what he said, but that's the kind of the point. And I've seen it myself, in my career, guys that are super smart, they'll go and say, right, well, here's a new technology. They can sit down and go, right, do the exam, yep, pass, I'm off to the next thing. It's not just about the fact that will make them happy because they're doing the certification. You then have to give them stuff to do. Right, because technology people, we do training because we want to learn something. But once you've learnt it, if you're sitting there twiddling your thumbs, you get a project every 2 or 3 months, then that's not what makes you stay. It's, you know, it's actually doing the work. So I think certifications, absolutely, you know, it is key in that industry. And like we've heard as well, you know, a lot of clients now are stating, you know, if you don't have the relevant people working on this, then I'm not really interested in working with you because I want that security.
In the old days in IT, you would employ a lot of consultants, or you employ product specialists or technology specialists, and they would be embedded with you. And if the things went well, the project lasted a few years, you may offer them a job as a permanent employee. Look at all the big support teams in AV, they're sort of outsourced, but they're operating as separate business units within companies, but they're almost embedded with them. I suppose we might see more of that, I don't know, but the big complex projects, it's difficult to see how that sort of model's developing within companies, I don't know. But certainly they're pretty businesslike, they see their model changing, but the scale is becoming almost, it's enterprise level, if not global. That was a big shock to me. I thought it was coming. The scale is clearly increasing. But they're dealing with a lot of big enterprise problems, and you don't introduce the word enterprise AV, which I thought I wouldn't hear for a few years, but I mean, it's certainly there, isn't it?
Some companies are structured on that global scale, and they have that global view, and there'll be some people, again, like we talked about, the people who have the need or the want and desire to actually achieve something. At a global scale, they can look across and go, okay, well, I've got, you know, 35 countries, I've got, you know, 68 buildings, which translates to, you know, 2,000 rooms or something that they're looking after. So for them to achieve their goals, they can sit there and say, right, well, I've got that scale. But if the structure of the company is that person doesn't necessarily have enough of an effect, but it is say we go to any country in Europe, France, Germany, Spain, and there's a CEO, CFO in place that are worried about their own numbers, then you know, the question is how important is it for them to be part of that overall decision if they are already highly efficient themselves, right? Versus maybe another country, and I won't name one, but you know, just another country or a branch of that organisation maybe not as efficient, but and so there's benefits there. But you know, it's hard. I think it's hard for an organisation to actually pull that scale together in a global economy. And we mentioned it before. Who's responsible for taxes? Who's responsible for, you know, the book value of the equipment? Who's responsible for all these different bits and pieces? And at a global scale, it's a very, very hard thing to achieve.
But they provided almost two solutions strategically. One was these sort of dashboard environments where you're providing a control environment that you can monitor and maintain, through which you allow your client to keep a good control over their assets. And the other element, which we saw coming through with smart buildings, is this big data idea where you're having access to all the sensor data of a new building, therefore seeing where the requirements are for the technology. So there are a couple of potential endpoints there that came out through this session that I hadn't realised was in such an advanced state, which is quite new to me. I don't know about you.
I think the big data idea, absolutely, and I guess all of these things as they do come along, yes, I think they're absolutely here. You know, I've had a number of conversations over the last year with different, sometimes smaller companies, but certain areas. Amazingly enough, Dimension Data are in this business as well. We bought a company some years ago that are in that space. But so yes, I'm aware it's happening out there, but I think has it grown as much as we expect? You know, ISE, right? There is that smart building conference that starts on the Monday. There is a smart building section of ISE, which I did pop along to, but I mean, normally you've kind of just gone, oh, you know, that's not really me at the moment. But I popped along last time. Most of the people I saw were a little bit more kind of in that consumer grade space. But you have to think the power of that surely has to be in the enterprise. And I think, yeah, those tools are going to be very, very useful as they mature and as people you know, get better at selling them and actually delivering solutions to that CTO, CIO or CFO at the top level to say, you know, look at the, there was a conversation of, I think it was James saying, you know, it's not about selling tin anymore and saying, look, you know, I can sell you this, I can sell you that. It's more about actually I can sell you a savings. I'm not here to sell you, you know, or sell you a box or a solution. I'm here to sell you something that's going to save you money over there and over there and over there. So I think there's definitely some cool stuff coming in that space. And I think, how do we all change? Again, I think, from our side and from my experience through a number of careers, I think a lot of the salespeople are very much used to that. I'm selling a box, a widget, X, Y, Z, right? And it's harder to change that mentality. Do we need to bring in new salespeople, new training again, a new thought process around how do we actually sell the savings, the solution to the client? So.